Today we're going to be talking about what you can learn from role-playing games. Now this includes things like Warhammer, Dungeons & Dragons, and various other things. I'm going to be calling on my own Dungeons & Dragons experience. I have heard a little bit about other role-playing games, but primarily Dungeons & Dragons is what I have done, even though I've dabbled in a couple others. There are all sorts of things you can learn from playing Dungeons & Dragons, both as a dungeon master and a player. I would definitely say, though, as a dungeon master, the one who's creating the world and the story, there's a ton that can be packed in that you can learn here. First thing that I would mention, sometimes the characters, or in this case the players, what they want to do and what they would do isn't what you want for the plot. You have to learn how to motivate your characters to get them to authentically choose those decisions on their own. What would make them want to follow the plot? What would make them want to go in that certain direction? What would make them want to go after that particular dragon or beast or whatever? There are all sorts of different things that can motivate your characters, just like there are all sorts of different things that can motivate players. You don't want a character making a decision that they wouldn't actually decide on. That is actually something that editors look for when you're trying to traditionally publish and when you get your novel professionally edited indie publishing. They will look for things like, hey, why would this person who's super, super poor not take money when it is offered to them? Why would they do that? Explain either a reason behind it or don't have them do that. Motivate them by some other means to do something else in that particular moment. I would also say be careful of character relationships. Sometimes you think they're going to go one way and then they go a completely different direction, because that's what organically would make the most sense. However, that doesn't mean that you can't tweak things and change things to make them a little bit more inclined to do a certain thing that you would like them to do. This is very important in general with both dungeon mastering and writing. Make sure that your characters would authentically make those decisions and that they're not just making those decisions willy-nilly for no reason. The next thing that I have learned that I would also say is good to apply to writing is that sometimes it can be a good thing to make your plot loose to allow for change. Especially as a dungeon master, there are a lot of times where you're like, oh, I plan to do X, Y, and Z thing, and then the players do something entirely different. Sometimes when you're writing a story, past you and present you are not on the same page. So you may have plotted out this entire thing, and then present you goes, ugh, I hate half of this. But if you make the plot loose, maybe only 7 different important plot points, or even 3, then it makes it so that you can get from point A to point B and allow for change and allow for variety and allow for different ups and downs and all sorts of character arcs that can change along the way as you change with your story. It's also nice because this allows for you to not have to worry so much about sticking exactly to your script. It allows for a little bit more creative freedom to use foreshadowing and all sorts of different other things like that. The next thing that I'm going to talk about is whatever the readers are most interested in is what you should be interested in. Now, I'm not saying you have to write for tropes or anything like that. We're going to talk about that in a minute, funnily enough. But if your readers love a side character, have them show up more often. If your readers are loving a certain relationship, feel free to showcase it more often. If your readers really hate a certain villain, make sure that they are the most powerful villain and that they have more reasons to hate them. Lean into the emotions that your readers are having. This is where beta readers are really good. If you're noticing that they're having a generally larger reaction to certain things, include more of those things because your readers are going to want that. They're clearly asking for that. So feel free to listen to what they're asking for. All right, next. Don't write for tropes or what you think they will like. This is in dungeon master terms, but also in writer terms especially. A lot of people are saying, write for a trend, write for a certain trope, write what you think the audience will like instead of what you like. No, more often than not, I've found it as a dungeon master that if something excites me a ton, it will also excite them a ton. I build worlds that I'm super excited about, and that means that they're super excited about it, and they can feel my excitement, and we bounce off together, and we both feel excited, and that's how we build up tension and build up this is so cool, this is great, and let's build up characters in this world. I've also noticed that if there are NPCs, that I am like, I love this NPC so much, oftentimes they will fall in love with that same NPC. So that being said, yes, do you want to listen to your reader feedback and include more of that in your story? Yes. But you also want to do what you are organically wanting to do and what you are organically excited about, because that is also going to be something your readers are going to be excited about because you're excited about it. Your excitement can be felt through your writing and through your own words. And it's fantastic, honestly. It's really good. Another thing that can be really fun is having comedy in the midst of darkness. It can make it feel better, and people can play in D&D case and read in writing case longer. I've learned that a lot of times if like characters are dying or having a hard time, or there's a lot of darkness and problems and violence in a specific situation, like let's say they're trying to save a village from a bunch of bandits, and these bandits have been absolutely terrible people and have been doing terrible things, that's very dark. But if you have the characters struggle a little bit, like 2 or 3 of them are trying to use lockpicks on a door and they just can't seem to get it right, that can really help to add comedic relief. Or if you want to add a random side character that is really dumb and that makes them all laugh, that is going to help add lightness to the situation to help the reader keep going forward. This has been used in writing techniques for decades, but I will say that it really does work. If people are feeling like things are too dark or too heavy, throw in some gallows humor, throw in some dark humor, where it's like it fits, it's not completely out of the context, you don't just throw in a random joke for no reason, but at the same time the joke helps bring a tiny bit of levity to an otherwise dark and depressing situation. Alright, next thing that I want to talk about, sorry, I have a stitch in my side, is that you want to have character-driven moments, even if your story is plot-driven. A lot of times people are like, I need this plot to happen, so I don't care about what the characters think, and they're just going to do this anyway. Well, as I said above, if that's not something they would authentically do, then your editors and your readers can feel that, and they won't be nearly as interested. So it's important to have character-driven moments, even with just simple things, like, for example, Harry Potter and Percy Jackson. There were lots of moments where they had, romance, and they had intrigue, and they had them struggling to learn things, and school, and all sorts of things that they were struggling with outside of just the darkness and the villains and etc. And that made it so we were more interested because they felt more real, because they were character-driven moments within a plot-driven story. The last thing, this is also about characters, but that's mainly because half of being a dungeon master, I'd say even 80% of being a dungeon master, is dealing with character decisions. Allow your characters to make dumb decisions and mistakes. You don't always have to have them being super smart and super powerful all the time. That's actually really annoying to readers and is called a Mary Sue or Marty Stew character, where they're super powerful and super perfect all the time and rarely have flaws. Allow your characters to make stupid decisions and to make mistakes and to have their flaws be seen on the actual page, and to allow them to be able to fight through those things and work to get better at those things, and to have their moment to shine outside of just being perfect, because it actually makes your character shine more when they have imperfections and flaws than if they are constantly being perfect. Alright, this is technically a young writers workshop, but in case any of the teens are listening, there's this young writers workshop going on. It is for teens, specifically ages 9 to 18, but if any 9 to 18-year-olds are watching this and are interested, there's that. Should be very exciting and fun, and I hope that you enjoyed this lesson. And don't forget that we have a writers contest. It is due on the last day of May, before 5:45, but I'd recommend turning it in the day before just so you don't have to rush, because I will not take anything after 5:45. Thank you so much. Bye.